Hi guys! Today I'm sharing my favorite holiday food, tamales of course. They are a must-have during the festivities, and the recipe I'm showing you today is for tamales de raja, one of my favorites. These tamales have strips of jalapeños with vegan cheese, and they are so easy to make with a few ingredients. So if you're interested, this is what you'll need. These are corn husks. They cover the outside of corn. They have been dried. So the first step is to clean them very well. I like running them underwater, removing the corn hair as well as the debris that they have. And once they are cleaned, the next step is to soak them in warm water and set aside. They will become soft and manageable for later. Now on to the main ingredient, which is the masa. Masa is corn dough, and you can find it at most Mexican grocery markets. And where you find the masa, you will also find the corn husk. And I should let you know that there are two types of masa. There's masa preparada, which is prepared usually with pork lard and salt, or the one I purchased, which is sin preparar, non-prepared. This one's best because you could control the ingredients like the salt, and also, most importantly, substitute the pork lard for a vegan option like vegetable shortening, which I will be using. In total, I purchased 5 pounds of masa sin preparar, that's without the lard or the salt, and I will only be using 2.5 pounds for this recipe. This will yield about 20 tamales. Also, to give you the measurement in cups, I pressed the masa down into this measuring cup that I have, and it made 4 cups exactly. And to flavor my masa, I'm going to use this vegan chicken bouillon, mixing 2.5 teaspoons into half a cup of warm water. And what this is going to do is give me a vegan chicken broth, and it'll soften the dough as well as season it. And back to the masa. In this large bowl, I placed the 4 cups, which were 2.5 pounds. And that white glob that you see on top is half a cup of vegetable shortening. What I'm gonna do now is go in with my hands and begin working the dough. And I'm breaking it apart, and I'm just gonna incorporate it very well. This is gonna soften the dough and make it more manageable. Also, it's gonna make it easier to add the other ingredients that follow. Then I'm adding 1 heaping tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is very important because this will make your tamales softer and give them an overall nicer texture. Also, I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and 4 tablespoons of the warm vegan chicken broth that we made earlier. This is flavoring the masa while making it easier to knead. I'm adding a 1/4 cup more of vegetable shortening, making it a total of 3/4 for this recipe. I'm kneading it well into the masa, and then I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of salt, as well as 3 or more tablespoons of the vegan chicken broth, making it a total of maybe 10 tablespoons of broth that I used for this recipe. Don't be afraid to use it, by the way. This is really just flavoring the masa and making it really soft and easy to handle. After working the masa for a good 10 minutes, incorporating all of the ingredients, it is now very soft and ready for the next step, so I'm just gonna set it aside. Now for the filling. Here are my jalapeños, which I'm cutting into strips. And if jalapeños are too spicy for you, you can definitely substitute them for something else. For example, I think bell peppers would taste really good in this recipe. In my case, I also decided to try, aside from the jalapeños, roasted chile poblanos as a filling. I'm preparing them the same way I made my chiles rellenos, which, by the way, if you're interested in that recipe, I will link it below. If you'd like to try the chiles poblanos in your tamales, what you want to do is roast them over fire, and then once they've charred on all sides, place them in a sealed container, let them steam for about 5 minutes, remove them, and then begin peeling the outer charred skin, which is now soft, followed by removing the seeds inside as well as the veins and rinsing them. And once you're done with all that, they should look something like this. And what I'm gonna do next is cut them up into slices and set them aside with the jalapeños. And this is a cheese I will be using just like I have in other videos. It's one of my favorites. It's from Trader Joe's. It's vegan and it melts really nicely. I have since removed the corn husks from the water they were soaking in, and I placed them in this colander so they could dry, and at this point they're pretty dry, so they're ready for me to begin assembling my tamales. But before I do, I wanted to show you a close-up of the corn husk. They have a rigid textured side. I'm not sure, I hope you can make it out in this shot right here, but there's also a smooth side. That's the side that you want to use to spread the masa onto. Alright, onto the assembling. I am spooning in masa, I'd say about a tablespoon at a time. And I'm not going to cover all of the corn husks, just from the middle down, but also not all the way to the bottom. You want to leave a little space, that way it won't spill out when it's cooking later on. Also, I should mention that it's a little hard to tell you how much masa I spooned over each corn husk for each tamal, because every corn husk is different. They all come in different sizes, and therefore each corn husk will have a different amount. But my trick, I guess, is to spread it as evenly as possible. And for me, this is the perfect thickness of masa to spread over the corn husk. It's about 1/4 inch thick, and I feel that it's the perfect proportion for the filling for the amount that I'm putting inside. But if you like your tamales to be thicker, because it is a personal choice, some people like a lot of masa and also a lot of the filling. If you do, definitely layer up and make them as thick as you'd like. Just be careful for it not to spill out. Sometimes when they cook, if you overstuff them, they spill out in the pot. But yeah, so that's a personal choice. And what I'm gonna do now is close my tamal. As you can see, I'm closing one flap at a time, making sure that the filling stays inside. And then here comes the other flap. And then I'm folding in the tail, and here's another tamal that I'm gonna set aside, and I'm gonna continue to work on all of them until I am done with the masa or the filling. The next step is to place the steamer rack inside a large pot and filling the pot with enough water, ensuring that it doesn't pass the rack. Because if you put too much water in there, your tamales will get wet and soggy when cooking. Alright, so once you've done that, you can begin placing your tamales inside, making sure that the opened end of each tamal is facing up. So you want them standing or slanted, that's fine, as long as they don't spill over. And what I've done here is line the pot and the tamales with leftover corn husk. What this is going to do is trap the steam, and this will help them cook evenly and faster. So what I'm doing is covering them completely, and if you have a clean kitchen towel, you can also tuck it over, then cover with the lid and begin cooking. I am cooking for 1.5 hours over a low-medium flame, and then after the 1.5 hours, I'm gonna turn off the flame and allow the tamales to cook with their own steam for 30 minutes. And here they are. I'm so happy with them. They turned out so good. My mom and everyone else who tried them loved them. Tamales are the perfect holiday food. They're delicious, and you get to share them with friends and family. Also, you could even make them with friends and family. That's really fun. And they're cute. You get to unwrap them before you eat them, and they make for the best leftovers. If you do try this recipe, make sure to enjoy your tamales with Mexican hot chocolate. It is so, so good. I highly recommend that. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more vegan recipes. Until next time, take care.